The First Midnight Visit, 23rd of January, 2025. It was past midnight. I was half asleep, lying in my bed, on my belly, when something has forcefully pushed me against the bed while I turned my body from one side to the other. I have experienced this right after I saw the dark and faded image of Virgin Mary in my third eye. She was holding baby Jesus in her arms. This image was somehow connected to my childhood. I used to see Virgin Mary on a tarp with a thick black contour every time when I attended the church ceremony, nearly every Sunday at my grandma's village. The hard tap on my back has come with a considerable pressure on it. My first reaction was to ignore it. After a couple of minutes, I thought, this is odd. I have never experienced anything like this. Then I felt burnt hair-like smell, while the constant sound in my left ear got distorted. Next, I have opened my eyes. I had to open them up to convince myself that I wasn't dreaming. Following, I deeply inhaled some more air and confirmed the burnt hair-like smell. The green LED light on the bedroom wall is on at all times and wonderfully mixes up with the street light when lights are off. It creates an obscure light in the bedroom which gets stronger with the full moon nights. Lying on my right shoulder with my eyes open and looking towards the green LED light, I was still questioning what was going on. Suddenly, in the obscure light with the corner of my left eye, I saw the back side of an elbow. Someone or something was lying on my back. The entity has confidently placed both of his hands under his neck, and from the position I was, I could see the right elbow. The pressure was low but obvious, and I thought, this can't be a physical body, or the pressure would be way high. The entity's elbow was solid, and I instantly knew this was the elbow of a man. This can't be, I thought. I'm crazy. I should better try to sleep. And so I did. As morning came, I woke up and acted like nothing has happened. I thought it must have been my creative imagination. As the following nights unfolded, I got to realize that this was my first spirit encounter experience ever. 25th of January, 2025. 2 more nights have passed until I had another nocturnal visit. However, this time it came with a strong sleep paralysis. My entire body got stuck. I couldn't move whatsoever, except my eyeballs. I was fully awake and conscious, and I thought, oh boy, this is real. I felt some pressure on my back, and I knew the spirit was lying over me. He started to touch and rub me between my legs. It was shocking, and I couldn't believe what was going on. All of a sudden, I had a strong reaction. Mentally, I raised my voice and said, "Take your hands off me." And so he did, and left. I was shocked and amazed at the same time. What did just happen? Now I was totally convinced that spirits started visiting me early in the morning around 4 a.m. I was intrigued on how I knew how to tell the spirit to stop what he was doing. Where did it come from? How did I know how to communicate this way? Communicating telepathically with the spirit felt so natural, and it came as a reflex, which confirms that I did this before, but not in this lifetime. It got me puzzled. He did obey my wish, and I didn't know why. End of story.
Note: I had sleep paralysis once when I was a boy, and it felt exactly like what I have experienced when the spirit came over me. However, at the time, I didn't know that a simple command could break up the paralysis sensation. Sleep paralysis is rather common with some people suffering from mental illness, but is also commonly sensed by people when spirits visits them. Why? Perhaps because the spirit's energy, when overlaps with our energetic field, causes a short circuit. Or it could be a self-protective mechanism. Anyway, it reminds me of the story of my father. In his early days, my father used to fix electronic devices. His clients were from both city and countryside. One day, he left to a nearby village and spent several days over there fixing TVs and radios. He had a couple of friends in that village where he could crash overnight. He slept in the bed of a man who has recently passed away. There's a habit in Transylvania, Romania, where I live, when someone dies, we don't use the dead man's things, nor we sleep in their bed for 40 days at least. The dead man's spirit has haunted him for over 3 years. The spirit came over him in the middle of the night and paralyzed his entire body so he couldn't move at all. Unfortunately, my father didn't know how to deal with this issue. He wasn't a religious man. I believe he had too much pride to seek for help. He had struggled with this issue until one day when the spirit left him alone. I vividly remember when he would constantly ask me and my mother whether we felt anything during those nights. Of course, we had no idea what he was talking about. We couldn't feel a thing. The dead cat was in his yard, not in ours. Kevin Tedeschi wrote a book on Edgar Cayce about angels and angelic forces, in which he talks about several spirit encounters. Among them, there is one story that caught my eye. The story is about a couple sleeping in their bed when a bright white light appeared on both sides of their bed. As they stated, we were practically frozen and unable to move a single muscle. We were both terrified. As I have learned more about spirit paralysis and mediumship, I found out that this state of spirit-induced paralysis may be changed through our own willpower. Now that I had spirits visiting me, next was to change the way they present themselves to me in the middle of the night. I definitely didn't want to feel paralyzed with every single spirit encounter, so later on I have changed this sensation for third eye notification, skin pinching, and goosebumps. I did this by intent. Interestingly, the spirits that came from this point on, with very few exceptions, respected my wish. Having this kind of experiences was something entirely new to me. It was shocking and fascinating at the same time, but I didn't know what to do about it. I was still at the point where I was trying to realize what was going on. It was a matter of time to gain experience in my interactions with spirits. I've been living in the dark, asleep for so many years, disregarding stories like this. What I have considered once weird paranormal experiences, it became my reality. I kept the whole thing from myself for an entire week before I told my mother. I knew that she would understand such things because she's been always an open-minded person. I understood that such stories can't be shared with everyone, but with very few friends only. I heard about spiritual people using burnt sage to cleanse their spaces and various rituals to protect themselves from dark spirits. I realized that I have to learn how to do these things. Their rituals reminded me of how priests spread burnt resin all over inside the church to cleanse the air from possible dark spirits. Until now, I never realized why they were doing it. Another thing that came into my mind was on how every year on the 6th of January, the Orthodox priest goes from door to perform a spiritual cleansing ritual. He blesses people's homes with the intent to cleanse them from spirit visitors. For years, I kept the door shut to such rituals because I have always considered it to be a sketchy religious way of collecting money for the church. Now I was in the position where I fully understood its necessity. Moreover, I was up for calling the priest and pay him double the amount just to come and cleanse our home.
End of note.